abandoned role changed everything. The sense of helplessness vanished when Lan realized true power begins with stopping the blame and choosing action. So the answer to the question, how to break free, will not be by denying the pain or forcing yourself to be stronger, but by dialoguing with the emotions. Try looking straight at the voice in your head every time you think negatively. Ask it, who is speaking like this? You will realize it is not you. It is the inner child within you, once abandoned, once unheard, believing that only through suffering would it receive attention from others. And when you begin to listen to that child with empathy instead of judgment, it will no longer need to scream. At that point, the victim archetype dissolves, making way for a new energy, the energy of the creator. The creator does not ask, why is this happening to me? They ask, what can I learn from this? The very moment you shift from the first question to the second, you have left the victim role and entered the journey of mastery. For example, some people have endured poverty, abuse, or loss, but they do not let that past define them. They transform it into motivation to help others, to write a new story. They do not deny the pain. They transmute it into strength. Jung would call this the alchemical process of the soul, where lead, suffering, is turned into gold, wisdom. But remember, overcoming the victim archetype does not mean becoming numb. Truly strong people are not those who never fall, but those who know how to rise and understand why they fell. They still feel hurt, but they are not defined by the hurt. They still know pain, but they choose conscious responses. That is the difference between reflex and freedom. From a Jungian perspective, every time you refuse the victim role, you move closer to the self, the center of the psyche, where all archetypes harmonize in balance. There, you are no longer shaped by circumstances, but the one shaping them. You no longer seek a savior because you understand that you are the one who saves yourself. Try imagining if from tomorrow you stop saying I can't and replace it with I choose not to do this right now. The second statement carries the same content, but holds power, because it acknowledges that you have the right to choose. And that right to choose is the first step of inner freedom. All freedom begins with this realization. I am no longer a victim. And then you realize, no one has ever truly hurt you. They only touched the wounds you have not yet healed. No one has ever taken your power. You only once forgot that it belongs to you. When you remember that, when you stop playing the victim and return to being the creator of your own life, you need to prove nothing. The stillness within you is already proof of a strength that no one can shake. Part 3. Accessing the collective unconscious. That is the door leading to a deeper layer of the mind, where not only you are present. There you realize that your fears, beliefs, dreams, and symbols that have appeared in your life do not entirely belong to you as an individual. They are the flow of thousands of years of human consciousness operating within you. Jung called that deep layer the collective unconscious. The collective unconscious is not a mystical concept. It is the shared spiritual repository of humanity, where all experiences, memories, and primal emotions have accumulated across thousands of generations. Every human being is born inheriting this treasure trove, like a spiritual inheritance. You do not need to learn to fear the dark, to love the light, to tremble before beauty, or encountered a figure like Athena, but you still recognize the archetype of the wise one within yourself when you choose reason over instinct, when you hold stillness amid chaos. The collective unconscious is what connects you to all of humanity, no matter the century or culture in which you live. It explains why a child anywhere fears the night, yearns to be loved, imagines heroes, mothers, and death. Those images do not come from the external world. They are the ancient language of the soul, the spiritual heritage you carry within. But the strange thing is, most of us live our entire lives without ever touching this deep layer. We are trapped on the surface, where reason, logic, and the ego hold sway. We think we are choosing, but in truth, the collective unconscious whispers behind every action, every emotion, every dream. You think you love someone because they fit, but deep down, you may be guided by the archetype of the anima or animus, the unconscious image of the ideal feminine or masculine within. You think you want success to affirm your worth, but in reality, you are living the archetype of the hero, battling your own dragon to find the treasure, which Jung believed symbolizes self-realization. Understanding this is a turning point, because when you begin to see the archetypes operating within you, you are no longer their puppet. You start choosing how to express them consciously. For instance, the mother archetype might drive you to sacrifice yourself to exhaustion for others.
Hey, Spatman G, Spatman. Spatman G, Spatman, what's up? Good morning to you. Happy Saturday, homie.
Operating within you, you are no longer their puppet. You start choosing how to express them consciously. For instance, the mother archetype might drive you to sacrifice yourself to exhaustion for others. But when you recognize it, you can transform that energy from blind sacrifice to compassion, from control to mindful care. Or the warrior archetype, if unconscious, it makes you aggressive, bent on victory at any cost. But when you master it, it becomes the strength to protect boundaries, to stand for what is right without being ruled by hatred. Within each person exist dozens of such archetypes: the teacher, the healer, the betrayer, the wanderer, the king, the warrior, the creator. They come and go, shifting with time and circumstance. The issue is not to eliminate them, but to learn to call upon the right one when needed. Like a skilled director, you do not let a single actor dominate the stage. You know when to let the warrior appear, when the healer needs to speak, when the wise one should lead. A strong mind does not try to control everything, but one that knows how to work with the unconscious rather than being controlled by it. An intriguing example, in moments when you feel lost, unsure of who you are or what you live for, that is not a sign of failure, but a call from the collective unconscious. Like the heroes in myths, you are entering the dark night of the soul, where you must leave the safe confines of the ego.
Childhood vaccines have been around for decades and are safe and proven to help protect children.
To find your true self. At that deep level, you will
Vaccines give
encounter
you
strange symbols in dreams. A forest, an old house, a guide, a snake, a stream. Do not dismiss them. Jung believed every dream symbol is a message from the unconscious, a map guiding the journey of awakening. And if in this moment, an image, dream, or memory has just flickered into view, do not ignore it. Write it down, or share it in the comments as a small fragment of the shared ocean we are exploring together. Because sometimes, what you share is not just yours, but the whisper of the collective unconscious seeking to be seen through your very story. When you learn to listen to that symbolic language, through dreams, intuition, and strange synchronicities, you begin to unlock the inner treasure. You no longer live solely by reason, but by the ancient wisdom of the collective soul. You realize you are not alone. For every story you are living has been told by humanity for thousands of years. You are merely rewriting them in your own way. Amid the clamor of the world, when you achieve this, you touch a power that logic cannot explain, an intelligence beyond the individual. Jung called it inner guidance. When you connect to this deep layer, your decisions no longer stem from fear or ambition, but from a profound knowing, as if your soul already knew the way. Try imagining you are a drop of water in the ocean. When you see yourself only as a small drop, you feel weak, isolated, and afraid. But when you realize you belong to the ocean, that the current within you is the current of the vast sea, you fear no more. That is the experience of touching the collective unconscious, union with the spiritual source of humanity. When you live from that depth, you no longer react as a small individual. You act as part of something greater, and that is when your mind becomes as steadfast as a mountain. No one can shake you, because you are no longer just you. You are the crystallization of thousands of years of wisdom, the voice of the collective unconscious made conscious. Part 4. The journey of individuation, the pinnacle of inner strength. Here, you enter the deepest and most sacred stage of the spiritual journey that Carl Jung called individuation. If accessing the collective unconscious connects you to humanity's shared wisdom, then the journey of individuation is the destination where all those parts merge into one. Individuation is not about becoming the best version of yourself as the modern world preaches. It is the journey of returning to who you truly are, whole, unified, and authentic. Jung believed every person is born with a soul map, a unique path no one else can walk for them. But most of us spend our lives pleasing others, fitting into societal molds, becoming what the world expects. We build the ego as a mask for survival, gradually losing the call from deep within, the call of the self, the total self. Jung said the self is not a grander ego, but the true center of the entire person, where light and shadow, conscious and unconscious, individual and collective, harmonize into a unified whole. It is the place where you no longer tear yourself between I should and I want, between right and wrong, between what they think and who I am. When you touch that state, you no longer need to play any role. You become your soul itself. But that journey is not easy. To ascend, you must let go. Let go of the roles that once served and hurt, but now imprison you. Let go of the illusions about who you think you must become. The process of individuation is not accumulation, but divestment, step by step. You peel away the layers that are not yours, until only the original, pure, and most authentic essence remains. One on the path of individuation often goes through phases of crisis. At such times, you realize that the success, fame, or self-image you once pursued no longer suffices to define life's meaning. You begin seeking something deeper, wholeness, and it is precisely there that the journey of individuation begins. Try looking back at your life. How many times have you done something just because you should, must, or everyone does? How many times have you felt you were living without truly living, merely acting in a pre-written script? Jung believed those moments of restlessness are not failures, but the soul's call. The soul does not shout, it whispers, "This is not me." And when you are brave enough to listen, you begin returning to your true path, the path of individuation. On that journey, you will rediscover parts of yourself you once neglected. Perhaps the creativity is stifled by fear of failure. Perhaps the passion was extinguished by the pressures of practical life, or the deep intuition denied by reason. Each time you dare to listen and call them back, you are gradually integrating yourself. And the miracle is, the more original you become, the more deeply connected you feel to the world. Because only when you are truly yourself can you truly see others. In the collective unconscious, Jung observed that every culture tells of this journey, the hero's departure from home, confrontation with monsters, and return with treasure. But Jung emphasized that the treasure is not outside, it is within the hero. The monster you must face is not a real enemy, but the fear, doubt, and old patterns in your own mind. And when you conquer them, the reward is not glory, but awakening. Think of the artist who finds their unique style after years of copying others. Or the one who collapses in crisis, then rises to live an entirely different life, not for anyone else, but because it feels, this is me. That is the manifestation of individuation. Not everyone recognizes it, but every time you do something truly aligned with your soul, you draw closer to that pinnacle. Individuation does not make you perfect, it makes you real. You still have flaws, still have shadow, but you no longer fear them. You understand that shadow is not opposed to light. It is the indispensable part that gives light meaning. When you accept both, you attain wholeness, the highest state of the human psyche. And when you live from that place, everything changes. You are no longer driven by fear of loss, the need for acceptance, or the desire to prove yourself. You need not affirm your worth, for you are worth. You need not chase light, for you are the source. Jung believed that one who reaches this stage possesses an unshakable peace, a peace that inspires awe and caution in others, because they cannot fathom how you remain so steadfast in a chaotic world. That is the pinnacle of inner strength, when you no longer need to hide, control, or prove. You simply are.
All right. See you in an hour. Peace, peace. Oh, I got my 3. Feeling confident. I think I might just do more next time. We'll see. We'll see. All right, let's get to the comments. Sorry, I don't got too much to say, honestly. uh, oh god. Major number.
And in that state of being, you become strong naturally, like a mountain that needs no roar to proclaim its height. And when you arrive at that point, when you unify all parts of yourself into a coherent whole, you do not merely build a strong mind, you build an awakened mind. And that, precisely, is the pinnacle of inner strength.
Okay.
The strength of one who
So
has passed
Spamton G Spamton G Spamton says, "Hey, every dot underline." I'm gonna assume that's everyone, and I'll call you Iro Dad. I'm just gonna call you Iro Dad. Says hi. Says NV. Says haha. No idea. Alright. And what's up, Jacob Skinny? What's up, the J Jordan? Jacob Skinny says liked and shared. He drops his hashtag. Go check him out. And the J Jordan, go check out the J Jordan too. Both MVPs. Oh yeah, the J Jordan says hi. Hi, Auntie. What's up, the J Jordan? Happy Saturday to you, bro. Hope everything's good to you guys. Hope life keeps giving you all the good vibes, you know. And even if you get some not so favorable vibes, just understand you never get more than you can handle. That's about it. Yeah. Dang, man. Yeah. That's okay. Let's go to the live on here. Okay. We are Gucci. We're Gucci. Alright. Peace, peace. Thank you for showing up. Bye.